you rock. Most people enjoy a good story. Imagine a story where you rock. I challenge you to make a difference in the world. Share your story to inspire others. Calling positive people. I have had the ideas of good news stories for years running through my head. Is anyone else frustrated by all the sadness and negativity in the world? My good friend, the late Wes Funk, who had his own show called Lit Happens, always said, "You rock," when someone did something fantastic or helped out other people. One night, while trying to sleep, the title of my show came to me, You Rock. Are you inspired by good stories? Why not share your inspirational stories about real people doing things that are good in the world? It makes sense to me. This could be a domino effect and spread great ideas like in the movie, Pay It Forward. Well, this is your chance. Together, let us create a better, more peaceful world. Let's not just imagine world peace, let's work for it. Your inspirational stories of hope and encouragement can spread like wildfire. Good news can be contagious. Are you doing something rocking in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, or the world? I'd love to have you on my show to share your rocking stories. I'm here with Kate with Happy Leopard Chapbooks. And how are you today, Kate?
Oh, I'm great. It's good to be here, Marion. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And tell us a little bit about Happy Leopard Chapbooks.
Okay, well, a number of years ago, in 2009, we published our first book. A chapbook is a simple book that's just a single signature. And we found authors and artists who were willing and concerned about various charities. And so we decided we'd do an edition of 100 copies. We'd sell them, we'd give the money to the charity. In the first case, it was the late Mary Pine and Marie Dunn, who were the writers, and that money went to Station 20 West. Mm-hmm. And since then, we've published 10 books. We've raised over $18,000 for various charities. And all of the work is volunteer, everything is donated. And the books, I think they're beautiful. They're handmade.
They look very beautiful.
They're, sometimes we marble the inside covers. And it is a lot of work, but it's a real labor of love. And my partner in the production end of things, A.E. Matheson, I think said it best when she said, what's better than doing something you love doing for a good cause?
Well, that's marvelous. And so what inspired you to do this?
Well, I was originally involved with Jack Pine Press, and they do chapbooks. They have a slightly different mandate. And A.E. Matheson and I have been teaching workshops for over 10 years at Art Placement on how to make books. And recently we've upped our game and gotten involved with the Canadian Association of Bookbinders and Book Artists, which is called Cabbage. It's an easy name to remember, but it's not the vegetable. And we've been learning more sophisticated techniques. So she's actually working on our current book, The Dog Sled Diaries, and she's going to be doing a different and unique type of binding.
Well, that sounds very exciting, and we'll be talking to her later on in the show.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about the process of book binding, because I know it's, having experienced it a little bit and watched you, it's an interesting process.
Well, I'd say one of the first challenges is we use a desktop printer. So in order to have the grain of the paper running properly, you have to be able to fold it lengthways along the page. Otherwise, the book is apt to warp. So first of all, you design the book, and then you figure out how many pages you have, and then you're sort of shifting and copying and pasting on your computer for hours and hours in order to have the pages go in the right order. And then you print them and cut them up and fold them, sew them together. You make covers, you glue them into the covers. It probably takes about, if you think about it, maybe 45 minutes to make each book.
Oh, so that's a lot of time.
Yes. By the time you've done an edition of 100 with a few practice, you're ready to move on to another title.
So do you have a favorite book in there, or they're all your favorites?
Well, the current one's always the favorite, but because of that process, because you're often doing sewing and you're in the middle of the fold, I always like to have a picture I really like as the center spread
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
because that's the one you see the most when you're sewing and putting it together. No, I get excited because I find the creativity of the authors, the illustrators. This is one that A.E. Matheson wrote and illustrated. And the charity, it's a great Halloween book. And the charity for this one was the Street Cat Rescue, because there's a cat features in it. One of our favorite things about it was having the cat's tail go right off the bottom of the page.
Oh, isn't that cool?
It's pretty hard to do with a conventional printer. We had to really work to get that to work.
They look so beautiful. So what inspired you to do this work for charity?
I think it was the feeling that you get all these appeals, and most of my friends, we can't afford to give a lot of money, you know, you scramble around, you give them $20 or something. But I realized that if you make something and sell it, it's kind of like a literary bake sale. We can sell a book for $20. It's a beautiful handmade collectible item. They're signed by the authors. And hand $2,000 over to the charity, and everybody gets excited about that.
Oh, that's for sure, and a great fundraiser for the charities. What are some of the charities that you've worked with?
We have Station 20, Street Cat I've mentioned, New Hope Dog Rescue. These are, you know, kind of local charities, but we've also done books for the Grandmothers for Grandmothers that support the Stephen Lewis Foundation, helping women in Africa. And Nashi.
Oh, awesome.
And a group down in the Maritimes called Farmers for Farmers, which work with agricultural projects in the Third World. So it kind of goes back and forth. And the current book will be for the Western Veterinary College's work in the North, helping animals. So.
Well, that's wonderful, and it's so great, and I can say you rock, because I like to have people on my show that are doing truly inspirational things. And so we'll be back shortly with A.E. Matheson, and she will be continuing and sharing information about the next book. We're back with E.E. Matheson and Happy Leopard Chapbooks. Welcome.
Thank you.
Beth.
Thank you. Yes, Beth is what I get called around the house.
Okay. Well, tell us about your next book that you're doing.
This is our 11th book. We connected with a woman in L'Orange. Her name is Miriam Corner. And she and her husband Quincy run a dog sled vacation thing. It's called Paws and Paddles.
Okay.
And she and I met at a conference, and then we reconnected when she asked Kate and I to come up to L'Orange and teach a bookmaking day-long session, which we did. We had a marvelous time, and afterwards we got talking over dinner, and she was telling us stories about the L'Orange fires last summer.
Okay, yes.
And the rescue work that had to be done to get the pets out of the houses and so forth. And she also showed us some of her artwork, and Kate and I looked at each other and went, this is our next book.
Awesome.
And because she's an artist and she has a very distinctive style. This is one of her paintings of herself and Quincy and the dogs.
Does she do it painting or on computer?
This is acrylic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she showed us a series of cartoons that she's done.
Okay.
And we said, that's perfect.
It looks really animated.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
this is
beautiful.
I've taken the cartoons and I have like 31 pages worth, back and front. And I've started with the ones about when Quincy got into mushing, and through the changeover of dogs. This is about one of their older dogs. She wakes up in the night and says, there's something outside. And he goes out and he says, well, Roscoe's got his head in a bucket. And then through the acquiring of more dogs, they get Africa and Pompey and Cowgirl, and then she got these two puppies, and they were such chewers that they called them Vicious and Piranha. And this is about Piranha, not don't chew that, don't chew that.
So did you write the story, or did she write the story?
She did the whole thing. It was all ready to go.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. All I'm doing on this one is arranging the layout and deciding on how the cover is going to be done.
So let's talk about how you put this book together.
How I put this book together. The first thing I did was stand with her originals in front of a photocopier and scan and scan and scan. And then I go in and I arrange them on the page in Photoshop. And because I'm doing what's called a Japanese stab bind, and we'll be using, this is called the hemp stitch pattern.
Okay, that's
Japanese
interesting.
stab binding has a lot of different patterns. But with this one, you need a little extra along the edge. So I've made the layout so that the cartoons show up evenly when you turn the pages. We weren't able to get quite the paper. I wanted to get this paper, excuse me, which looks a bit more like leather, because we were going for a, sort of a snowshoe kind of effect.
Oh, that's interesting.
But so it's going to be with French.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
French fold here for a little extra, and then the cartoons inside, like this. And I'm going to be using, or we're going to be using, because I am not doing all this sewing myself, this red leather. We'll be doing this pattern on the edge of the book.
It looks like a lot of work and a lot of detail. So how long does it take you to put together a book?
Well, this particular book is actually faster than those ones.
Okay.
Well, the time-consuming part is punching all the holes into these. But Kate and I thought, well, you know what we should do? We should get a drill press and do it. And so she picked one out of the catalog, and we were going to go off and buy it. And she called Murray in, her husband, who is actually our president.
Okay.
And she said, Murray, we need a drill press for the next project, so let's go buy one. And Murray said, come with me. Went down to the basement and said, there's the drill press.
Well, isn't that wonderful use of tools?
Use of tools. So we're going to set up a whole stack of books at once and drill all the holes in.
And how many books are you doing?
We do 100 for the collection, and then there are 10 that are called proofs.
Okay.
So that if you go, oops, there's a mistake on this page, or I sewed this backwards, or something like that, then you can set it aside. So that you've got 100 really good copies.
And remind me again of what charity that you are selling them for.
We've connected with the Vet College.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we wanted to do something for the animals in terms of their being rescued and so forth. So we have connected with the Veterinary College. They run a program where the vets load up trucks and so forth, and they go up and they set up in gymnasiums, and they do neutering and spaying and so forth of dogs.
Okay. So if people want to help out or find out more information, where can they go to?
We have a website.
Okay.
And it's www.happyleopard.com.
Okay.
And I have just yesterday posted the cover picture and a little news that I will be updating the website soon about this one.
Well, you rock again.
Thank you.
And I thank you for coming on my show. And it's always good to have people that do interesting things and especially support charities. And that's so important. And soon we'll be coming right back, and we'll be seeing Graham Adley with Word on the Street. And that's a literary festival, and you'll hear all about it. So thank you again to my two guests.